Okay, so let's talk about the order of operations. The order of operations acts as our blueprint, telling us which order we should do the operations in for an expression or an equation. The reason that this is important is because we want to make sure that when two people are given the same equation or the same expression, they get the same value out of it. Imagine two people are given a pile of Legos and they are told to build something. You're going to get two different builds out of those Legos if you don't give any blueprints, if you don't give any instructions. So that's why we have the order of operations, and that's why we use them. The order of operations is usually memorized using a mnemonic. The mnemonic I'm going to use for this video is GEMDAS. GEMDAS. The G stands for groups, E is exponents, M is multiplication, D is division, A is addition, and S is subtraction. Now, I picked GEMDAS instead of PEMDAS because I want to focus on groups of things rather than things that are just in parentheses. Because brackets qualify as groups, the numerator and denominator of a fraction qualify as groups, and fractions themselves even qualify as groups. So that's why I went with GEMDAS instead of PEMDAS. But if you hear PEMDAS, what that's referring to is instead of a G, there's a P at the beginning, and that P stands for parentheses, like that. But we're not going to be using the PEMDAS version, we're going to be using GEMDAS because I'm going to focus on groups. Okay, something else to note. This is the order that we're going to go through things. We are going to do groups first. That's the first thing we're going to check. The second thing we're going to check is exponents. Multiplication and division get done at the same time, but they get done left to right. Addition and subtraction also get done at the same time, and they get done left to right as well when it comes time to do them. So this is the blueprint that we're going to follow for all of the examples today. Let's check out our first one. Okay, our first example here is going to be 5 times, in parentheses, 10 minus 1. The first thing we check for is groups. Parentheses counts as groups, so that is the first thing that I'm going to solve. I'm going to look in here at the 10 minus 1, that is equal to 9, and I'm going to drop down the 5 times. The next thing I check for is any exponents. There are none to do, so now we check for multiplication and division. We have multiplication here. 5 times 9 is 45. And there are no other operations for us to take care of, so our final answer for this expression, simplified, is 45. Let's take a look at our second example. So our second example here, the first thing we want to look for is groups. Now, there's very clearly an obvious grouping with the parentheses over here. So we can go ahead and take a look at that. Inside the parentheses, we have 3 plus 6, which will be 9. We can go ahead and simplify that right away. Remember what I said earlier in the video, how the numerator and the denominator of a fraction are also considered groups? And not only that, the entire fraction itself is going to be considered a group. So inside this group, our order of operations are going to start over again. So we check again for any groups. Well, our numerator is a group, and it is as simplified as it's going to get. So let's check our denominator, which is also a group. And order of operations starts over again here. There are no more groups inside of this group, so we move on to exponents. We have 1 to the second power is 1. And then we do our subtraction. 5 minus 1 is 4. So let's rewrite this down here. We have 8 over 4 times 9, because we simplified this group, times 3. Remember how I said that the fraction itself is also considered a group? We need to simplify this fraction, 8 fourths, before we move on. So 8 fourths is 2. We still have times 9, and then times 3. So now we're going to do our multiplication division from left to right. we have 2 times 9 is 18, and 18 times 3 is 54. And there is nothing left to simplify, so this original expression, this whole mess up here, simplifies down to 54. For our final example, let's look at something that has a bunch of stuff inside parentheses. In this case, the first thing we're going to check, obviously, is our groups, and we have a very clear group here with the parentheses. So we need to start our order of operations over inside the parentheses, inside our group. There are no other groups, so we check for exponents. There are no exponents, so we need to check next for multiplication division, and we're going to do that from left to right. So we have 6 times 2, which is going to be 12, and there is no other multiplication or division, so let's drop down our addition and subtraction. And 2 plus. There we go. So next, we're going to do our addition and subtraction. We're going to do that left to right. 2 plus 12 is 14. Plus 2 is going to be 16. And then minus 4 is going to be 12. And that is everything inside of this group simplified. Now, we drop down everything else we have, which is just this times 2 on the outside. And we're going to do 12 times 2 is 24. And that is our final answer for this expression simplified. If you found this video helpful, consider liking and subscribing. If you have a topic you want me to cover, leave it in the comments down below. And as always, have a fantastic day.